Chapter 10. Deployment. As soon as I hit 37 weeks, all I wanted to do was talk about baby names. We were still unsure of what we were having, but it was fun to throw ideas around. We agreed that if it were a girl, I'd name her. And if it was a boy, Joey would name him. I didn't mind because somewhere deep down, I knew I was going to have a girl. I spent hours every day scanning the name book for the perfect one. I liked so many. It was hard to choose, and I kept changing my mind. This week, I was torn between Ariana, Morgana, Isadora, and Aurelia. I even thought about naming her Debbie or Deborah after my mom. On second thought, maybe the middle name. I said out loud to myself as I closed the name book and set in on the end table. I really liked the old-timey, unique, and forgotten names. It was so hard to choose only 2. Leave it to me, and this poor little girl was going to have 10 names. I jotted the names on a piece of paper and left it on the table atop a stack of unopened mail for Joey to see when he got back from the store. Joey was easy. He liked the same name throughout my whole pregnancy and never once faltered. Major Tristan Hunter was the name he chose. I was down with the name Tristan, but I did not like Major at all. To me, it sounded more like a title than a first name. He was so adamant and sure of his choice that I didn't have the heart to tell him I didn't like it. Pregnancy was really starting to take a toll on my body. Luckily, I'd only thrown up a handful of times. I'd gained 17 pounds in 4 months, but it felt more like 50 to my knees and back. My bump had tripled in size at this point. I could no longer sleep because I was extremely uncomfortable, and I had to urinate every 5 minutes. I was carrying low for a girl, so I had a ton of pressure on my pelvis, constantly. I just waddled around and reminded Joey whenever I could that I was taking one for the team. I resembled a sea cow, while his damn body remained in pristine condition. I admit I was a little jealous. I hadn't had any more bleeding, and my last 4 ultrasounds looked great. The baby was growing normally, and I was just happy that she was healthy. We never planned an official baby shower, but friends and family would randomly stop by the apartment, with gifts for our bundle. My mom paid for the carrier/stroller combo that Joey had already put together over a month ago. That was the most expensive item that we needed. Pop bought a crib and a tiny bassinet to go by our bed. Hannah would bring by boxes of diapers, wipes, and essentials. She wanted so badly to buy the baby clothes and couldn't stand the fact that we were still unsure of the gender. Jade and Ms. Meredith bought me a boppy for breastfeeding and a cute wicker basket, full of essential oils. There were tiny glass bottles labeled for just about any ailment the kid could have. Colic, gas, laxative, fever, sleeplessness, soothing, teething, and they were all homeopathic remedies made from herbs that Ms. Meredith used on Jade when she was a baby. Only 3 weeks remained until we got to meet our baby for the first time. Joey took the liberty of packing our hospital bags and was no less eager than I was. Every day since he found out I was pregnant, he would spend a few minutes rubbing my belly and talking to our little nugget. Joey walked in the door with grocery bags strung up each arm, and I got up to chase him. "Please don't tell me you forgot my pickles," I asked. Searching through the bags, he sat down on the floor in the kitchen.
"Baby girl, I did not forget your pickles, or the Oreos, or the Slim Jims, or the watermelon,"
he said, kissing me on the top of my head. "Thank you, babe. You're the best husband ever," I said, hugging him loosely from the side as to not squish my beach ball-sized tummy.
"Guess what else I got?"
"What?" I asked, jumping up and down with anticipation.
New York strip.
"You're finally going to make me steak again?"
Yep. I wanted to wait until you exited the queasy stage, so that you could get the full effect.
I was enthralled with my life and bewitched by my little growing family. My mom and I were even attempting to rekindle our relationship, all thanks to Joey. He was truly my rock, and I couldn't imagine what life would be like without him. He was the most amazing person I'd ever met, and I was extraordinarily lucky that I found him and that he loved me. Several months ago, during my first semester of college, I took a Greek mythology class as an elective for my prerequisites. I remembered vividly, learning about humans in a group discussion. According to the Greek philosopher Plato, humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and 2 heads. Fearing their power, Zeus split them into 2 separate beings, condemning them to spend the rest of their lives searching for their other halves. I remember sitting in class unconvinced at the wild accusation, but if that were true, I knew irrefutably that Joey was the second piece to my whole. The term soulmate was also derived from that idea. Who would have thought? The idea that there is only one person in the whole world that was meant for you. It was crazy to think about. When Joey finished putting away the groceries, he came and sat in his spot on the sofa, next to me. I put on one of my favorite movies and rested my swollen feet on Joey's lap. Instinctively, he began massaging them. It was like he could read my mind at any given moment. I only smiled, accepting his kind gesture. "You're going to have the best daddy in the entire world," I said, looking down and rubbing my bump. "I forgot already. Geez, pregnancy brain. There's something on the table for you," I voiced excitedly, pulling my legs from his lap.
Bills?
"Just go look." Joey got up, picked up the list of names, and returned to the sofa. As he skimmed them, I saw his eyes widen and close. "What? You don't like them?"
No, baby girl, they're great.
"Good, because I'm trying to narrow them down." Joey got up to put the paper on the dining table, and I watched him pick up the mail. He pulled out a chair from the table and examined the envelopes. I heard a tearing sound and assumed he was ripping up scam letters, but I was too involved in my movie to look over at him. I heard him swat the table and everything on it shook. "You good?" I asked, without getting up or looking at him.
I'm just going to go for a walk, right quick,"
he said, getting up and kissing my hand on his way to the door. "Want me to go? I just need you to tie my sneakers since I can no longer reach my feet."
No, it will be more of a quick jog, really. Baby girl, you rest. I'll be back shortly.
Joey walked out the door without setting the alarm, which was unlike him. I looked at my watch because I was getting tired and just wanted to know what time it was. I figured I could make myself stay awake for one more hour, just until I knew Joey made it back home safely. I was actually kind of glad he didn't want me to go. I was so much more comfortable sprawled across the couch. The urge to release my bladder hit me quick and hard. When I left the bathroom, shreds of paper on the table caught my eye. I decided to be useful and throw them away, since I hadn't done any housework my whole pregnancy. I sat at the still pulled-out chair scraping the front of my tummy, realizing just how big I was. Under the pile of confetti was an opened envelope addressed to Joey from Washington. When I picked it up, there was nothing inside, so I balled it up and threw it into the trash. I opened the apartment door and walked down the hallway to see if Joey was doing laps on the school's track. He wasn't. I'd often watch him from the kitchen window or this spot on the balcony, release his frustrations on those poor loops, zooming and zipping around each corner. I turned toward the door and felt crunching under my sock. I bent down carefully to pick up the crumpled piece of paper. Just as I sat back onto the sofa, Joey walked in. "Hey, how was your jog?"
Good.
He said, out of breath. "Where'd you go? You weren't on the tracks when I went out to check on you."
I just jogged to the bridge and back.
He stated casually as he wiped the dripping sweat with his shirt.